I'm Spencer Bailey. This is Time Sensitive. Hey everyone, welcome back to Time Sensitive. This episode marks the start of Season 9, which coincides with a big milestone for us, the 5-year anniversary of both The Slowdown and Time Sensitive. This episode itself marks another special occasion, the first ever taping of the podcast in front of a live audience. Last December, I sat down with the Italian chef Massimo Bottura, famous for his 3-Michelin-starred restaurant Osteria Francescana in Modena, Italy, which has twice held the top spot of the world's 50 best restaurants list. We were on stage inside Refettorio Harlem, which is part of Massimo's Food for Soul nonprofit. Located in the basement of the Emmanuel AME Harlem Church, Refettorio Harlem is part of a network of 13 refettorios around the world, from Paris to San Francisco to Naples. These spaces are designed to serve people in need via food recovery programs that divert imperfect or unwanted surplus foods from landfills and waste. Among other things, Massimo and I discuss Slow Food, Fast Cars, his new recipes/interiors book, co-authored with his wife, Laura Gilmore, The Art of Aging Balsamic Vinegar, his vast collection of thousands upon thousands of vinyl records, and how he thinks about the role of time, both literally and philosophically, in and out of the kitchen. Before we get into the episode, I'd first like to thank our Season 9 presenting sponsor, L'École, School of Jewelry Arts, which is supported by the Maison, Van Cleef, and Arpels. With a mission of sharing the art and culture of jewelry with the public, L'École offers a wide range of classes on art history and introductory jewelry making, public lectures and talks, books and publications, exhibitions, and a new podcast called Voice of Jewels. Following 3 exhibitions highlighting the late American artist Daniel Brush's work organized by L'École in Paris, New York, and Hong Kong, L'École's latest exhibition, Daniel Brush Thinking About Monet, is currently on view at the 2121 Design Site Museum in Tokyo through April 15th. Some of you may be familiar with Brush as he was a guest on episode 23 of Time Sensitive. Through pieces incorporating aluminum, steel, gold, and jewels, the exhibition showcases Brush's breathtaking artistry to the Japanese public for the first time. If you can't make it to the exhibition, there's also a brand new corresponding book of the same name. You can learn more about L'École and its current and upcoming offerings at www.l'ecolevancleefarpels.com. That's www.lecolevancleefarpels.com. And now, here's my conversation with Massimo. Hi, Massimo. Welcome to Time Sensitive.
Hello, everyone.
Let's start this conversation here with the Refettorio and your Food for Soul nonprofit, these spaces around the world. This Refettorio Harlem is the 12th that you've launched since opening the first location in 2015. How do you view the evolution of it now that you're about a decade in?
Food for Soul started during the Universal Exposition in Milan, when the theme was Feed the Planet, Energy for Life. I was discussing with Carlin Petrini, the guy from Slow Food, the mind behind Slow Food. He was telling me numbers that he had, about productions and things and industry. And the numbers were like, so we were like 7.5 billion people on Earth. We were producing food for 12 billion people. 860 million people, they didn't have anything to eat. And we were wasting 33% of the production. So practically, we were using water, electricity, human capital, stress the planet to produce and produce and produce and produce. And at the end, what we were doing, burn it. Became the second cause of climate change. Feed the planet is very simple. First of all, is fighting or transform or food surplus into something special for people in need. But during the month before the Universal Exposition, I was talking with all these government delegations, and they want me involved into the 4th of July party, or this, or the 14 La Prix de la Bastille. But no one really asked me what I was thinking about Feed the Planet. So I decided to feed the planet my own way. Dream big. Doesn't cost anything. So I said, I'm going to make my own pavilion at the Universal Exposition. But I said, but I don't want to do it in the Universal Exposition, because otherwise I would be, there's also that chef on the corner there who fight food waste, who cooks. I said, okay, let's do it outside. I knock at the door of many important people, because I said, if we're going to do it in Milan, I want to rebuild Miracle in Milan, the 1950 movies. And I want to do it under the train station. So we contact Moretti, the CEO of the Trenitalia, and they said, yeah, we'll just restore the place for the shelter, we're going to give you the other space, and you can do whatever you want under the train station in Milan. That time was the big problems with migrants. All the train station in Italy, they were like fully booked with all these guys. They were heading north, and at one point we said, there's no light there. There's no light. We are under there. It's like very dark. We need more light, I knock at the door of the church, and the Archbishop Scola was listening to me for 1 hour. I was extremely carico, as I say, as I'm usually are, really full of passion. At the end of the conversation, he didn't talk. Let me talk. At the end of the conversation, he said, Massimo was very good. That's a very good idea. Thanks for your passion. Thanks for your ideas. In 1 week, I'll give you the answer. And 1 week later, he said, we confront with Papa Francesco, the Pope, and the Pope said, the idea is amazing, but we have to bring the light into the periphery. We found out that there is an abandoned theater that we own from 1930 in the most neglected neighborhood in Milan. That's where we need the light. It was like drug addict, the refugees' house. So we brought the light there, create an amazing space full of beauty, of art, of good ideas. There's a neon outside, 22 meters, no more excuses. That now is also here, a tattoo in my arm that reflects everything, that means everything. No more excuses, no more talk. Now we have to act. In the beginning was we open, we involve all the most influential chefs in the world. Everyone said, yes, we're going to be with you. And we start cooking the inevitable food surplus from the Universal Exposition. Every morning was coming a big truck. We were unloading the truck and improvising. We were playing jazz with food and improvising like a lunch for kids at school and dinner for people in need. In the beginning was like shocking for us and for them, more for us, because we didn't know how to act. Till a Senegalese guy, we were talking about now, the Senegalese community here is big and there's a lot of Senegalese coming here. There's a Senegalese guy who brought the guitar, and after service, he started playing guitar. From a dinner that was like over in 1 hour, 10 minutes, there was a party going on after that. They all start looking at us from a different perspective. They understood we were there for them, not for us. From that moment, everything becomes so different, so alive, so a family, family style. They became also food critics. I remember the 14th of July, there was Alain Ducasse cooking there, and there was these two boss in the first table there. They were like checking everything all the time, and everything under control. They said, "Hey, chef, come here," and he said, "Yeah, what do you want?" Well, he's a French chef, that guy. Yeah, yes, he's a French chef. Yeah, he doesn't look French, but still is serving soup, and we are in Italy. We want pasta. I said, okay, eat the soup tonight. Tomorrow I'm gonna cook pasta for you. And it was all like that. Like crazy things happen in those 6 months. But I thought after those 6 months, everything was over. Like, wow. We share an incredible message. We inspire France, Italy, Germany to write the law against food waste. Big deal, I remember like the American delegation, with Michelle Obama, it was like all these guys that they were there, or all the TV from all over the world, they were coming. The New York Times published the best restaurant in the world is in Milan, but you cannot make a reservation because 63 Michelin-starred chefs are cooking there, but it's always fully booked, something like that, like something great. And we said, it's over, and we're going to leave the refettorio to the city of Milan as our heritage till one night, actually early morning, in the beginning of December. I was in bed, I forgot the phone on, and I said, like 5 in the morning, 4 in the morning, I listened like ding, 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 ding. I said, oh no, my God. And Lara, I was looking at the phone, and Lara said, like, who is this? The mayor of Rio de Janeiro. What the mayor of Rio de Janeiro want from you? He asked me if we want to build a refettorio for the Olympics in Rio de Janeiro next year. So what did you answer? Why not? And since then, we start planning with Alexandra Forbes, with David Hertz, our partner there, of Gastromotiva, the second one. And from the second to the third,
just
fourth,
spirals.
fifth. Yeah, spirals.
Well, around the time, too, in 2015, you wrote this op-ed in the Wall Street Journal that I wanted to just cite.
I wrote too many things.
This one begins, when I think about the future of restaurants, what chefs will be cooking in the years to come, the first thing that comes to mind is garbage. Day-old bread, potato peels, fish bones, wilted vegetables. I was hoping maybe you'd elaborate on that now, and also, how do you think about that sentence now, 10 years later?
No, we knew it. We already talked a lot. The community of chefs, journalists, we were involved in many events behind the scene of Gastronomic Congress since 2000, 1999, 2000. We were seeing so much garbage, so much waste. We were like wondering. Actually, we were planning events for, using just the surplus after a gastronomic congress. We did it once in Le Havre, I remember, with Andrea Petrini. We were like cooking, the craziest things, but the creativity, our knowledge, we could use it to recreate something very special. Because after the experience, the 8 months of the Universal Exposition, we were like learning a lot with this big kitchen, using potato peels, transforming, or like the broth of everything. We learn how to manage the word everything. Everything is an amazing word. To me, it's beautiful. Everything means everything, But you have to manage the word everything, because if you don't know how to manage everything, it could be a disaster. But if you know that a potato peel toasted in the right way can match the freshness of a carrot peel, but also the brightness of some celery leaves, or the bones from the black cod that the Japanese pavilion was ready to throw it out. That's the way you manage the word. Ragu, of everything, broth of everything. That's the way, the chef in 2023 is much more than the sum of his recipe. I think he has to step out of the kitchen and be louder, talk to everybody, and share his ideas, and put the ethic and aesthetic on the same level.
This being a podcast about time, I wanted to turn to your new book, Slow Food, Fast Cars.
Time. We are in a land of slow cars and fast food.
Yeah, this is true. In the new book, you write that slow food and I grew together side by side. And you opened Trattoria del Campazzo in 1986, the same year Carlo Petrini founded the slow food movement. Yeah. I was hoping you might elaborate on that. And was Carlo on your radar at the time? When did your relationship with slow food begin?
The relation with slow food began since the beginning, because we are in the land of the Food Valley, the land where you wait a couple of years at least to make Parmigiano Reggiano, or 42 months for a culatello, 36 months for prosciutto, at least 25 years before even taste the balsamic vinegar. This is crazy, in 2023, but it's our tradition, and I think Emilia is Emilia because of that.
They call it a bread basket.
Yeah, exactly. And one thing that we learned since the beginning, since we are kids, is that if we stay together, we are stronger. We can fight together, make peace, compete, but once we have to talk, we have to be together. And that's why the Parmigiano Reggiano is the Parmigiano Reggiano, because all these hundreds and hundreds of small producer, small company of 3 people, they compete one to each other for the best wheel or the best little 0.1 balsamico. At the end, when we need to talk to the others, we need to stay together and leave just one to talk with and to fight the battles. This is called consorzi. And so when you walk and when you learn this, you learn that the stronger needs to help the weaker. And you grow up like that, you understand that all the main leading ideas behind slow food are the same ideas that my grandmother was telling me and teaching me when I was a kid. And probably that's why I was the one who could create Food for Soul and put together all the other chefs, and sensibilize their minds about this problem. Because growing up like this is a style of life, And slow food and Carlin was fighting exactly the same battle that I was fighting. Imagine that we have our battery in the Consorteria of Spilamberto, a group of retired, passionate people. They keep and they protect the quality of the balsamic vinegar tradizionale, no? We have slow food battery here and Alexa, so my daughter, battery on the other side. It's like we go together, no? But also the idea of bello buono giusto, no? The idea of that we pay the right price to the farmers when you buy the things, We never, ever ask how much it is. We always ask for quality. If you act like that, these amazing farmer, fishermen, cheesemakers, artisans, they're going to give you the best products. And we all know that when you produce, especially now that we have a farm called Casa Mario Luigi, this place, we had 1,000 kilos of farro in excess. We want to sell it, 1,000 kilos. We want to sell it, and they want to pay 280 euros for 1,000 kilos of that. And we're like, what? I'm not giving to you. I'm going to share with all the refettorio in Italy that we have, at least we're going to feed people. 280 euros? How can you survive as a farmer if you get paid like that? So you need to pay the right price to the people. They're making an incredible job. If we want to to keep our tradition alive. That's why when we have seen this beautiful building on the side of Casa Maria Luigia, where this family kept all these barrels, we said, okay, let's put all our energy, now that we finish everything, we want to rebuild the Acetaia, because we want to keep the tradition alive. We want to be an example of how to shape the future, thinking about the past, but in a critic way, not in a nostalgic way. In a critic way to get the best from the past into the future. That's why we start acting and learning from Angelo Gaia, from Soldera, the best Brunello and the best Barolo. So we want special crew of juniper vinegar or cherry vinegar with woods, and it's never going to be a business. I know it. We know it. We all know it. Because, how can you keep alive 1,400 barrels year after years after years? But we keep tradition alive. We keep dream alive. We keep dreaming big. If you dream big, something happens, very special.
Yeah, you create a movement.
Yeah.
Now looking at the past, almost 4 decades since slow food movement really began in earnest, how do you think about these?
Yeah, I remember 23 years ago, we were discussing about the Parmigiano Reggiano with them, and why the red cows in Reggio Emilia, the brown cows in Parma, and the white cows in Modena were disappearing. And we were discussing about that. That was like 98, I think. And the reason was because they gave a concentrate milk that is half of the quantity of a classic black and white Frisona, no? During the 60s, during the economic boom, all the companies, they switch the old cows with this new race that was called Frisona, and they doubled the production in 1 second, just like that. Because they gave, usually these cows gives 10 liters of milk compared to the 4.5 liters of the white cows, for example. Without thinking, then the future would be about quality and not quantity. Italians are not good at being numbers. Italians are good to manage the rational, to manage the quality, to dream. What we start doing, we start checking where the white cows were. We were working with couple of journalists, very illuminated journalists, and a couple of producers, and we start putting together the white cows left, 2 in one place, 3 in another place. The slow food decide to stamp on fire on each big wheels of Parmigiano, made with pure white cow's milk, the stamp of quality, no? Presidio. We gonna protect these companies. They produce as they were producing 500 years ago. These companies, they start growing. The reputation, the rumors. Now there are 3 companies and hundreds. I remember at that time there were like 25, 30 white cows left up on the Apennines. Now together there are more than 800 cows. They produce a beautiful cheese, and 2022 in Paris, the 36-month white cows was prized as the best cheese in the world by the French. And that was something really, really special, because you see the results of things, and it's very slow, but year after year you see the quality growing and growing and growing and growing till this kind of results. Grow slow like a tree, big roots in the soil, and be strong for the moment, the very difficult moments.
Well, I wanted to ask you, and this isn't slow food specific, but it connects to that. How do you think about the role of time when it comes to food and cooking? And I mean this literally or philosophically. You can kind of take it in both directions.
Time, when you cook, it's extremely important. Imagine my dish that I created in 1993, the 5 different age Parmigiano in 5 different texture and temperature. Texture and temperature means technique, means, look how good I am. It's about the ego of the chef. But the point of that dish was about create something to show the slowly aging process in Emilia-Romagna, with one element, just one. Actually, the ingredients were two, the cheese and the thyme. The thyme that changed the cheese and the big wheels in 5 different ingredients, because the cheese that is 24 months is completely different from a cheese that is 50 months. So we start creating that dish, but I'm talking about 93, where they were selling at that time the cheese at 18 months. My grandmother, the brother of my grandmother, owned a small company, like 2 people. They were making cheese up on the hills south of Modena, and they were saying all the time that the more we age the cheese, the more digestible it is. Even the kids, they need to eat a lot of Parmigiano because, l'ingenua ingegnosità means they knew that the more you age the cheese, the lactose is transforming into protein, and the cheese gets very intense and digestible and hyperproteic. But at one point, we lost the focus and we start producing. At one point, they were selling the cheese at 18 months. But 18 months, they didn't even close the circle of transformation of lactose in protein. And they lost the unique part of Parmigiano Reggiano that, is a cheese that you can eat even if you're allergic to dairy products, because there is no more lactose after 2 years. I was start aging my own wheels at that time. And we stretched these incredible wheels till like 70 months, 8 years. It was inedible, of course. But, we try. At least we try. You have to try, you have to learn, We were picking the perfect wheels full of water in the spring, when the cows leave and they start eating grass full of water, and the milk is like intense and can stay there for years. But the results was incredible, because that idea of creating a dish just with one ingredient and trying to express this idea of a slowly aging process in Emilia, to me, was a great idea, but just to me. Because around, they were like, I received a phone call from the president of Consortium of Parmigiano Reggiano saying, please, Mr. Bottura, stop cooking that dish because you ruined the image of Parmigiano Reggiano. Wow, I'm very lucky that I don't listen to anyone, except for my wife. And I kept going. I kept fighting for that. I kept adding texture, temperature, switching things. We arrived at one point where a professor of Harvard University gave us these machines called WAF. They were evaporating the water of Parmigiano Reggiano, so you were breathing Parmigiano Reggiano at the table in Osteria Francescana. Whoa, it was like a machine created to fight the depression for the astronauts, because they were learning how to, they want to fight the depression, sharing on, breathing the flavors. So we were experimenting, eating sushi, breathing sushi, or breathing pizza. But Parmigiano was perfect. You were breathing Parmigiano at the table, with a fog all around. Actually, I proposed to the mayor of Reggio Emilia and Modena to put a big waft machine to nebulize Parmigiano on the highway, So when you were passing through Modena and Bologna, you were breathing Parmigiano. They said no. They said, yeah, okay, next time. Next idea. The whole idea of cooking and expressing the terroir where you live start exploding in Italy and actually all over the world. In 2013, 20 years later, the plate was declared the plate of the decade for Italian gastronomy for the 150th anniversary. And then I received a second phone call from the Consorzio of Parmigiano Reggiano. Maestro, Maestro is Pavarotti, I said. But yes, you can use the image of the cheese, So this is like a little example of the story of our life,
Well, and time is an ingredient. I feel like we have to talk about balsamic vinegar here because you've been bottling it for a while, but also balsamic vinegar is so central to Emilia and Modena in that area.
Balsamico, just the word, balsamico, It was something very special to use at the end of the meal as a digestivo. Caterina de' Medici was sending a missile when she was pregnant to Modena to get her own balsamic vinegar to use because it's a big pleasure in your palate, but as 8.5, 8.75% of acidity, so helps the digestion in such a good way, a natural way. I remember the first time I think about balsamic vinegar, even before I think about the saba, like the concentration of the must before become balsamico, was when we were, me and my sister, 4, 5, 6 years old, and my sister stolen the key from my grandmother, the key of the acetaia, and was Christmas, and it was very snowstorm outside, and we were like getting the must, going out in the garden, get the snow, put in the glass, make a hole, put the saba in and eat the granatina, the snow with the saba, That was the first memory I have about that. Balsamico is part of our DNA, our blood. Family is in Modena, Reggio Emilia, a little bit Bologna. Since they have their own battery, like this group of barrels, different woods, to have a complication in the palate, created their own liters, no more than couple, 3, 4, 5 liters of balsamico to keep and storage in the cellar and use as something il sacro graal, because it's something so special and is an heritage from generation to generation to generation. For us is blood. I keep saying, my muscles are made with Parmigiano Reggiano, and in my vein there's a lot of balsamic vinegar. I drank too much Lambrusco, so I was like, I'm dreaming too much. I'm so confused all the time. I break tradition all the time because I love to challenge and to look at the past, as I said, in a critic way, not in a nostalgic one. If nostalgic, you don't renew tradition. But if you break tradition, you can renew tradition and make everyone talk about that. Think about the new tortellini we are serving. This is another story. But in this case, I'm extremely traditional. We have our own vineyard now where we switch all the grapes from Lambrusco or Pignoletto in Trebbiano di Spagna, because Trebbiano di Spagna is the grape for balsamic vinegar. And then we have a very soft press just to get the best, and the best juice that we let sit. When it's clear, perfectly clear, we reduce in a very mild way at low temperature, because we put all the technique that we have learned during decades and we use in Osteria Francescana, even in balsamic vinegar. I give you an example. No, it's better not. No, but yesterday night we were out at Dante to drink these cocktails, and they were presenting this cocktail and say, we concentrate the martini and then we put the Campari inside and we cook it till it become powdered. And you said, listen, you know what you can do? You can get a rotto vapor. And instead of distill the Campari, you can concentrate the Campari in one side and have a concentration of Campari mixed with the other at 22 degrees, so you don't ruin the essence of Campari. This is my mind. How my mind works. For balsamic vinegar is exactly the same thing. So I want the concentration close sous vide, so we can boil at 22 and reduce very mild way the caramelization of the sugar, but the mild caramelization. Wow. The first year came out a must that tastes like vanilla. Amazing. All the guys that were working with us said, whoa, what is this? And in 3 years now we have rebrought the acetaia at this level.
You know how Zuckerberg had move fast and break things? I think you should be move slow and break things. Hey everyone, taking a quick break here to tell you a little bit about our Season 9 presenting sponsor, L'École, School of Jewelry Arts, which is supported by the Maison Van Cleef and Arpels. In addition to its courses, lectures, publications, and other programming, L'École also has a new podcast, Voice of Jewels, which draws on knowledge from its lecturers, researchers, and other experts to uncover the stories and secrets behind history's most fascinating jewels. The first 2 seasons, titled Sentimental Jewels and The Blue Diamond's 1001 Lives, are now available on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Upcoming seasons will explore the themes of gold, comics, talismans, and pearls. You can learn more about L'École and Voice of Jewels at www.l'ecolevancleefarpels.com. That's www.LECOLEVANCLEEFARPELS.com. And now, back to the episode. Let's switch to the other part of your book, fast cars.
Whoa.
Modena is known as the Motor Valley. I was hoping you might share a little bit about your obsession with fast cars. How did you get into this? And how do you think about, in your own mind, this slow food, fast cars dichotomy?
I don't know where to start. Exactly as we were stealing the key from my grandmother's acetaia, we were stealing the keys of the fast cars that my father had in the garage when we were 16, 17 with my friends. I'm talking about 1978, 1979. We were like pushing during the night the cars out. We had a circuit in Modena that was already dismissed, Circuito Enzo Ferrari. Now is a park. The door were open, and you could go inside with the car and start driving in the circuit. And we were like pushing the car of our, of fathers, brothers, and the company of group of friends. And we were racing during the evening and the night in this circuit. And so growing up like that, it's very easy. The genes of competition, of driving fast are there. I remember the older brother, Paolo, was really into motorcycle, and he was taking us to see in the circuit all these guys like Giacomo Agostini, Jarno Sarina, and Pasolini, the world champions at that time. They were driving MV Augusta or Yamaha and Ducati. To see them is not like that, not like now. Oh, we have safety and, there's security, and there are rock stars, all the... No, that time, families, they were driving like crazy. When you grow and you compete with your friends, this is an 8-cylinder. Listen to the sound. No, this is a 12-cylinder. Feel it. It's normal. It's normal that you get it into your DNA, especially because in the area where I live, 35 kilometers, you have Ducati, Lamborghini, Pagani, De Tomaso, Maserati, Ferrari. They're all there in 35 kilometers. So what can I say?
It's in your blood.
It's in your blood. Yeah. The things that I think we did very, very well. We had a very good idea in Casa Maria Luigia when we were rebuilding all these abandoned big storage place that now they're a playground for adults. We built a bridge to connect the companies. I was very close with Ferrari since long time. When Jean Todt was there, then Sergio Marchionne. Sergio Marchionne was always with John Elkann. John Elkann became friends as Sergio did. We built a bridge between Ferrari and Lamborghini, Maserati and Ducati, even if they're like completely opposite. One is in a group, the other is the other group, Audi, and Stellantis. Till at one point, John decided to go and visit Lamborghini for the first time in 70 years and brought his two kids before Christmas 4 years ago. This was like a big deal. Once you break the ice, everything starts breaking. We convinced the Regione Emilia-Romagna and the mayor of Modena to create an incredible week. It's called Motor Valley Week, in which we put together all the excellence and invite all the excellence from all over the world to Modena to show the best of
It's not unlike the Parmesan making.
Yeah, it's like that. And, I became the ambassador for that. I was already working with Ducati, with Maserati, since long time too. Lamborghini was the CEO became Stefano Domenicali. Around 2012, Stefano was in Ferrari. So it's all about connection, no?
Did the fast cars inform you in the kitchen at all? I should state here that you do have the restaurant Cavallino at Ferrari.
Yeah. It depends. The craziness of Gilles Villeneuve, yes, inspired a dish. Actually, the first crunchy part of the lasagna was dedicated to Gilles Villeneuve. It was all red and things. I presented to La Meilleure de la Gastronomie in 2004-5, and was like, as the shape of a F1 Ferrari, like this for the air. The fast cars is here in your mind. The fast way to think. Being in the kitchen, sometimes you have to manage the situation and solve the problems in a very fast way. Your brain has to work very fast and get clear and solve the problem in 1 second. So it's fast is always one of my characteristics. Think very fast, but acting very slow. Festina lente. Think, and then do it. If you ask me in the kitchen what I'm doing, I'm compressing my passion into edible bites, So my passion are music, of course, art, and even cars and motorcycles. Onda Rossa, for example, like the new dish that I create for Pecco when he won the world champions with Ducati, was like a spinning that was all different shades of red, dedicated to the Ducati and called Onda Rossa, the red wave. But those are just a static way. It's more the idea of how you think, how you dream, how you project your future, and you shape your future.
Art has been another passion of yours that really does inform a lot of your cooking. And I wanted to ask you about your views on one artist in particular, Joseph Beuys, who, like you, understood the power of ingredients that he was working with. I know his never stop planting sort of mantra is huge for you. I also know that you have this artwork, Capri Battery, that's at Casa Maria Luigia. Could you share a little bit about this passion for art, but specifically for Joseph Beuys?
Yeah. It's strange, eh? Beuys is it's probably the biggest influence. I started looking at contemporary art in a totally different way when I met Lara. We were in New York and we were talking, we were discussing, and I was really into Corot, and then the Impressionists, and then Cézanne, and then the Cubists, and the Germans, the futurism, Fauvism, and then the Russians, constructivism, but also Duchamp. And I thought, okay, after Duchamp, art is over. I wasn't interested in all these contemporary or like the informal Americans or stuff like that. Till I met Lara. She teach me how to look deep into things, and try to look and understand the mind of this artist and understand the deep feeling, the deep meaning behind what you see. Since then, I said, whoa, this is crazy. I started getting deep and deep and deep and deep into things. And the more you learn, the more you want to learn. When I arrived at Beuys, Beuys was like the biggest influence. I found him the most inspiring artist of all. Andy Warhol was inspired by Beuys deeply. That's why he was obsessed about the portrait, his portrait, Il Maestro, no? And there are things like ideas concentrate in one single phrase. Beuys was an artist in the 70s. He was like, created this, we should never stop planting. But he was planting oaks. Oaks is a symbol of longevity. And he was planting oaks as an example of installation. At Minneapolis, in Europe, in Italy. He worked in Italy so much. He loved Italy. And for biodiversity. But planting is also planting seeds of culture. Seeds like who generates culture, knowledge, consciousness, sense of responsibility.
Yeah, it's not lost on me that the repertorio...
It's there.
The repertorio
the inspiration
is
is there.
Yeah.
You just have to look carefully. You just have to leave the door of the unexpected open. And you walk in and you find these incredible ideas there. The idea of creativity, the light of the candle as the light of creativity. You have to work every day to keep the light, to protect the light of creativity. Because once the light goes off, the creativity is gone forever. Or like Capri battery and this idea of that nature can heal your body through the sun and the wind of Capri, because he, from dark Germany, arrived in Capri, breathed sun and energy, trying to create this lung disease that he had, but also the mind, open the mind. Think about the refectorio. And the moment in which we say, no, under the train station, there's no light. We need that. We need the yellow lemon from Sorrento energy to rebuild our energy, our spirit. All this is like in defense of nature. All these ideas are connected. They connect me, what I'm doing, the creative process that I'm using, and they are like guide for what I do every day, what we do every day. Because think about what we have done with the 250 years old park. Lara was like putting herself in just totally connected with the park, transformed the park that was abandoned since 10 years in the most amazing park ever, to protect all these trees, to connect these trees. And when the park was almost ready, we were ready to plant something to finish. And who was the inspiration? Joseph Beuys. There are 4 things that in a garden in the park they never have to miss. First, rosemary, symbol of fecundity. Second, bay leaf, symbol of glory. Third, oaks, symbol of longevity. Fourth, the roses, because the roses, with their spine, reminds you that you don't have to get lost into the everyday life. And even when they are dead, they pinch you if you don't pay attention. But there's another one, because going deep into Beuys' philosophy, there was this idea of, I met these guys and this lady, old lady, that was like Beuys' lover. And she told me that one of the favorite things that Beuys had was the strawberry grapes. That grape that tastes like strawberry, uva fragolina. What we have done, we we challenged our guys to look for uva fragolina. So we plant the uva fragolina into the arch to walk through the passeggiata, they walk through the swimming pool. So in summer, when you walk through that, you can get the uva fragolina, eat, and reminds that boys is still there with us. So that's the big point.
I also have to bring up music here. There's a room at Casa Maria Luigia where you have more than 7,000 first edition jazz records. I know in your collection overall, you have more than 20,000 records on vinyl. So I wanted to ask you...
Do you want me to refresh the numbers?
Yeah, we could fix that. But also, like, how do you think about your time spent listening to records? What do records offer you, this slow listening experience of putting a vinyl on and sitting down to just listen?
Vinyls or records and music in general are the first thing I do in the morning when I wake up. I turn on my music, and start the mood of the day with whatever, I have in mind. Sometimes very blues, sometimes very indie, sometimes very poetic. And it's the last thing I do in the evening before going to bed. I arrive home in my record room, close the door, put one record, decompress, fall asleep. It's something that is a part of who I am. I was growing up in a family like this. I was growing up when my mom was listening to opera. We are from Modena. Opera is opera. And she listened. She was like teaching me how to listen to opera when I was a kid. Me and my sister, we were the younger one. The overture, the adagio, the allegro, the minuetto, and then the grand finale. But the adagio is very important, no? So listen, from the opera was like the biggest inspiration to build tasting menu. It's the most difficult thing ever, because most of the time you go in restaurants and you have a tasting menu that goes like this. It's the worst thing you can do. Big, amazing dish, and then boom, drop down. And you, wow, what is that? But build a tasting menu. Leave some amazing dishes on the side. Leave the adagio to start after the overture. Then going up in your palate, because my dialogue with you is with your palate. And then the minuetto that goes up, and then the grand finale. Wow. People go crazy, because we bring you to that stage. But the two older brothers, they were like really rebellious. And in the 60s, they had garage bands. And they were playing in our garage, big garage. The Beatles, the older one, and the Rolling Stone, the other one. So they were like the two competition all the time. But the one in the middle, Paolo, I don't know why he started getting into country, but country like Johnny Cash, Nitty Gritty Dirt Band, Allman Brothers, that kind of country rock from southern United States. And he was importing his own record, or blues like Lightning Hopkins, Muddy Waters, John Lee Hooker. I was very close with Paolo, and listen to blues is natural, no? The step to jazz is very easy. If you ask me, Billie Holiday, is blues or jazz? I don't know. Sometimes it's blues, sometimes it's jazz. Or I think it's both. But Billie Holiday was... I don't know. I'm like, what was the question? Billie Holiday is like when you listen to Billie Holiday, like it gets into your body, for how she sings. It's like Dylan. It's exactly the same thing. She expressing everything through her voice. Dylan's expressing everything from his words, and gets into your body and become part of you. And once you start listening to jazz, it's done. You cannot go back. So I started collecting jazz, and for the whole life, especially I love the 78. When you listen 78 by Ma Rainey, Bessie Smith, Mama Thornton, those kind of stuff, it's like, wow, this is really something. And then at one point, I received this big book from a woman, wife of a judge who just passed, collector of jazz vinyl since 40 years, with all the catalogs of these books. And she left in the office because she said, I was listening to watching TV. I had a one-to-one on national TV with this guy who was interviewing me, and I was talking about jazz. And she said, listen, my husband, he would love to leave this collection to Massimo Bottura and not sell it to London, to New York, needs to stay in Modena. I didn't pay attention in the beginning. Then one day I walk in and I was like looking at all these records, like Miles Davis, 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 Miles Davis. What is this? It's the old lady who left this place. These are all the records, and oh my God, And I call her. 1 hour later, we rent a track. We went there. We collect all the records, and we brought back, in a storage place. When we got Maria Luisa, we walk into Maria Luisa, and we were like, we found there was a library on the left, as in my home, and the library on the left was like kind of green, not even beautiful, but with the perfect size, perfectly made for those records. It's meant to be. Perfect. Everything was perfect. I said, first thing we're going to do, we're going to rebuild my music room. So I said to Lara, we're going to create a new idea of hospitality. We don't want to travel, and have these luxury things, whatever. We're going to create home away from home. Is what we were missing when we travel 150, 170 days a year. I'm in Buenos Aires and I think I'm in Tokyo. Because they're all the same. You go into these hotels and you have like a burger or club sandwich or whatever if you're in Tokyo. I want to eat Japanese food, man. I don't want to eat like burger. I said, listen, first of all, we have to have the music room to share with them. And actually, I have the right records that fit perfectly in this music room. First thing I did when we opened the door of the new place, put the 7,000 vinyls there, that now are 8,000, but they're like to share with all our guests as they were in my home, exactly as the kitchen. The kitchen has to be always open as my mom's kitchen. Casa Maria Luisa. Maria Luisa was my mom. And the kitchen is always open. People, they don't have to sign anything. They have to come in the kitchen, snack, Parmigiano and Lambrusco, and understand they are in Modena. This is what we want. The kitchen is always open. Make your own cappuccino or your own coffee. It's your home. This is what we create, with Casa Maria Luisa. A completely different experience in hospitality. And the music room is part of this. In the music room, there are so many stories on the music room, that they're like crazy. But, all these people are really get back into their youthness when they were like getting a vinyl, open the things, read the stories, get the vinyl. And, there's a beautiful stereo there. And it's all up for our guest.
We've been talking for almost an hour, and I still haven't even mentioned Osteria Francescana.
Who cares?
But I did want to bring it up because it's now been 21 years since the restaurant received its first Michelin star. It's coming up in a few years on its 30th anniversary, and followed with the second Michelin in 2006 and the third in 2012. Maintaining that 3 Michelin star status is a sort of endurance test in a way. You have to keep things alive and fresh. And I wanted to ask, what keeps you motivated? What keeps you looking forward? I love how you've described your recipe creation process is sort of tasting my creativity. So maybe we'd go there.
Yeah, it's a big deal, to keep working like this. I have to say, as I always write, by myself, I'm Massimo Bottura. With my team, we are Osteria Francescana. It's all about the team. It's about how you work, how you plan, how you share, how you keep the team motivated, how you open their minds and gave them the opportunity to grow, stimulate culturally, leave them free to do different experiences, prepare the future for them in Los Angeles, in Tokyo, in Seoul, in Miami. Give them the opportunity to express themselves. Open the kitchen to other new blood that come out with contemporary ideas. Give to the dishwasher the same prideness of the maître d' that is working with you since 20, 30 years. Put the right people and pick the right people for the talent, not for who they are, but the talent they have. So when they talk about women in the kitchen, and I think like, what the hell is going on? What do people think? For us, woman, man, gender, we don't care. We care about the talent. We care about how the people they act, how the people they give, what they like. Since Osteria is born, I always had amazing women. For example, Lidia Cristoni, one of the most influenced people in my life. She was like teaching me that running a restaurant is like running a family. You have to sit together, spend time with the team, keep the team together, eat together before the service. Exactly as my mom was telling me, and teach the family and keep the family together for Saturday or Sunday lunch with family. Exactly the same thing. I still do that. I still involve them in all our social projects, like Tortellante, the project that we have with kids with different abilities and grandmothers. They put together the two most marginalized parts of the society. Now they are the center of the society, and they keep tradition alive, making tortellini every day because the kids are very good on repetitive things, and the grandmothers finally, they can share the secret of the pesto and rolling pasta every day. These kind of things. All the stagiaires, they come to Modena to learn how to make the fog to breathe Parmigiano Reggiano. At the end, they learn to make tortellini with the kids and the grandmothers. This kind of stuff, they make the difference. And they keep the team together. We dream together. We fight together. And at the end, when you win, the joy is double. And when you lose, it's okay, We share this bitter feeling, But still, it's part of of my life. The team is growing in a very difficult moment like this, where, like imagine before pandemic, we were 140 people in Modena in our restaurants. After pandemic, we are 206. All over the world, we are between 500 and 600 people in all our restaurants. They're all between 20 and 40 years old. And they're all super motivated. They're all proud of working with us, and we call it Francescana family. This is what we do, we are, and what we think. And we want to talk about the Francescana family in a large way, thinking about the refettorios, because the refettorio is part of our team, our life. Imagine that we involve in these 8 years 105,000 volunteers and chefs from all over the world. This is a big deal, But if you act in the right way, you share that with your example that you can do it and you can make it, you keep evolving and thinking, it's something that my team is breeding this kind of energy. So
move slow and break things.
Yeah, all the time.
Thank you, Massimo. This is great.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Extra thanks to our Season 9 presenting sponsor, L'École School of Jewelry Arts, which is supported by the Maison Van Cleef and Arpels. A unique place for learning, L'École welcomes the general public to the world of jewelry through courses, talks, exhibitions, videos, books, and now, its Voice of Jewels podcast. You can find out more about L'École at www.l'ecolevancleefarpels.com. That's www.l'ecolevancleefarpels.com. And thank you for listening. You can find more episodes of Time Sensitive on our website, timesensitive.fm, or wherever you listen to podcasts. To sign up for the Slowdown newsletter and keep up with our latest time-sensitive episodes, go to slowdown.media/newsletter. That's slowdown.media/newsletter. You can follow us on Instagram at slowdown.tv. Our theme music was composed by Billy Martin. This episode was produced by Ramon Broza, Emily Jang, Mimi Hannon, Emily McDonald, and Johnny Simon.